Hey, what's up everybody? It's Julius DeBerry with Majestic Studios, and today we got a special guest in the studio, the new Roland V Stage. This is the 88 key version, and we're gonna talk a little bit about this keyboard. Just gonna start off by saying this. I think Roland did a really good job with this keyboard. It's of good quality, great sounds, anything that you would look for or need in a stage piano. It's probably in here. Not a lot to complain about, but we just want to talk about who this keyboard is for and then who it's not for. Let's get into it. I want to say that if you guys are looking for any gear at all, you should check out Zounds. I will have a link in the description below. You can get all kinds of equipment from their site, and it's very friendly to musicians because they have something where you can finance with no interest. You make payments on the gear and they've already mailed it to you. So it's kind of like pay as you play. And it's really musician friendly. Helps you be able to get some nice gear. It keeps nice gear in our hands. And instead of paying for it all at once, you get to make no interest and equal payments over a certain amount of time. They just take the money out of your account, automatic draft out, and it works out really good for you, and it helps them because they're selling gear at the same time. So check out my link in the description, and if you guys see something on the site you want to buy, go grab it. All right, what I wanted to do with this video was I plan to kind of give my opinion about who I believe this keyboard would be for. And when I say who, I mean the type of person, the type of musician that I think this keyboard would be for. I was also gonna do the same thing for who I thought it was not for. 3 people or 3 types of people that I think it's not for. But unfortunately, I could only really think of 2 for the not. Like I said, there's not a lot to complain about this keyboard. So let's just kind of jump right in here and see what I think. Now, the obvious thing, this first one is kind of a no-brainer. It's just my opinion. I think this would be a great keyboard for somebody that is in the market and is looking heavily at getting a Nord, but they can't afford the Nord. And when I say can't afford, I don't mean that in the negative sense. I just mean that in the sense of like you have a budget of what you're wanting to spend for the keyboard or what would be best for you to spend for the keyboard, and the Nord might just be a little bit out of your price range. I think that this keyboard would be an awesome, and I'm using this word loosely, substitute for a Nord stage, one of the Nord stages, be it the 4 or the 3, or even maybe one of the Nord pianos, 5 or 6. Now, the reason why I say that is because aesthetically, it kind of gives off that same feeling of what you would get from a Nord. First of all, it's red, and it's kind of hard to deny that when we see red keyboards or when we think red keyboards, we automatically associate that with Nord. And I don't think that's by mistake per se, but who knows? I can't say that for sure. But also, when you look at the layout of the keyboard, it's set up very similar to how Nord sets their keyboards up. And you get a lot of the same features that they include with the Nords as well. So if you want the ability to play organs, if you want the ability to play pianos, electric pianos, and then also have access to synths, all from a easy layout interfaced board, then this will be a great option for you. The pianos sound great, the EPs sound great, the synth engine sounds great, and the organ is pretty passable too. So that's the first thing. I think if someone is in the market for a Nord and they say, well, for quite a bit less money, I can get the same package, have a very similar workflow, and I still have a red keyboard on stage, then the Roland V Stage might be for you. All right, the second type of person that I think this keyboard would be great for is someone that likes a lot of bells and whistles on their keyboard, but they don't want to do a lot of work to get to those bells and whistles. Okay, so when I say that, with this keyboard, the way they have everything laid out, a lot of what you need, a lot of what you want, and a lot of what you are looking for is within hand's reach. You don't have to really if you're even kind of familiar with keyboards, we all want to read manuals, but you can find your way around this keyboard really well without a manual. It's very, very, very keyboard performer, musician friendly. And that's a good thing. There's not a lot of menu diving that you have to do. And if you do decide to get into the menus, there aren't a lot of pages. There's not a lot of parameters on them to kind of sort through them and filter through and figure out what this does and what that does. It's pretty straightforward. So if you like your keyboard to have a lot of features, a lot of ability, but you don't want to work very hard to pull that out of the keyboard, then the Roland V Stage would be for you. All right, and my third point, if you don't care about your keyboard being very deep. So this kind of piggybacks on the second point. If a deep keyboard, and when I say deep, I mean like the programming ability of it, what's under the hood, if you're not really fascinated and into a very deep keyboard, then this Roland V Stage would be a good keyboard for you. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. When I was in college, we talked about editors for programming, and there are some editors with one of our teachers used to call it a WYSIWYG. And what WYSIWYG means is what you see is what you get. That's kind of the feeling that I get from the Roland V Stage. I just kind of don't feel like there's a lot under the hood to get under and kind of dig and look for and discover different ways of doing things, different cool features. I don't really get that feeling from this keyboard. It does a lot. It sounds good, but I just don't think there's a lot under the hood to try to figure out. They've got everything that you really need to get to right on the front panel. So you don't have to worry about trying to route your own effects. You don't have to worry about what buttons to push in order to make a layer. You don't have to worry about trying to assign faders to a sound and figure out which track this sound is on and all of that stuff, because it's really kind of laid out on the keyboard for you. Like I said, I think they really did a great job with this keyboard for what it is and what it seems like they were aiming to do. I think they executed it very well. So those are the three types of musicians that I think would really benefit and enjoy this keyboard. I'm gonna run back through them real quick. If you're interested in Nord keyboards, if you've had your eye on a Nord, but you're just scared to pull the trigger, maybe because of the cost or whatever the other reasons are, this is a keyboard that you should definitely take a very good look at. You like all the bells and whistles, you want the nice sounds, but you don't want to do a lot of work to get them, this could be a great keyboard for you. And then number three, if you're cool with the what you see is what you get. You don't have to do a lot of editing and digging under the hood to get what you want out of the keyboard. If that's you, if you meet those three requirements that I just mentioned, I think you will be really, really satisfied and really happy with this keyboard. Okay, like I said, I wanted to identify three types of people that I thought this keyboard would definitely not be for, but I could really only come up with two very solid reasons. And the first one of those is if you like to do a lot of tweaking, a lot of digging, and a lot of programming to make your keyboard your own, to kind of make your own sound, this may not be the best keyboard for you. Now, let me say this, kind of a disclaimer. You can program your own stuff in this keyboard. You can go in and edit sounds and to make it, make your stuff unique and different. But when I was looking, like when I went into the menus to really see what was there, there just wasn't a lot. Not based on what I'm used to seeing when I go menu diving in keyboards. It's just, there's not a lot there. That's not a bad thing, but if you're the kind of keyboard player who likes to kind of get your hands dirty, programming your own stuff, you don't want to use presets very much. You want to kind of go in and tweak. I don't know if you're going to really enjoy that experience with this keyboard. All right, and the second one, and I can say that firmly because I'm one of those kind of guys. I like to really get my hands dirty, get in the keyboard, see what's there, see what the sonic potential is in the keyboard, see what I can maybe do that's kind of off the beaten path that maybe someone else isn't thinking about, or different ways to do things. That's the kind of person I am. So that's the reason why I think I can say that pretty confidently. And this next one, I know I can. If you're the owner of a Roland Phantom, which is, or what I thought was Roland's flagship keyboard, I'm not really sure what that is anymore, if it's the Phantom EX or if it's the V-Stage. The reason why I say that is because I think the Roland Phantom like beats this keyboard in a whole lot of different ways. The one thing that I think this keyboard, or maybe two things I think this keyboard has on the Phantom, is that it has the organ drawbars like actually physically on the keyboard, and the fact that you can get to everything so easily. The Roland Phantom does have a nice interface as far as what's laid out for you on the front panel, but at the same time, if you don't know what you're doing, where you're going, when you start pushing buttons, it's very easy to get lost on the Roland Phantom. But I like that kind of stuff. I think sonically, I think the Roland Phantom can hold up to this keyboard just as easy, and it's several years older. I think that feature-wise, I think it's got it beaten. They put out the Roland, the EX version, which allows you to expand that keyboard significantly as far as adding sounds. And I just kind of don't think that if you're an owner of the Phantom, I don't really think there's a lot of room for this keyboard, because there's going to be a lot of overlap, and then the Roland Phantom has a lot more that it can do, that it can accomplish. Like I said, there are some things that the V-Stage has on it that the Phantom doesn't have, but I think you'll be, if you have the Phantom, I don't think you'll be missing a lot by not having the V-Stage. Okay? All right. So with that said, I wanted to just bring up, and I'm going to put this in another one of the videos as well. This is something that I think would have been really cool, that would have shaken up the keyboard community and maybe shaken up the market quite a bit. So we have this V-Stage that is a stage piano, and it looks like it's aimed at the gigging musician. Quick access for performing, to be able to change sounds, turn sounds on and off. Not a lot to get lost in as far as the menus. Everything's within hand's reach of what you need. I think what would have been really cool is if they brought out two keyboards. And I'm saying this jokingly but serious at the same time. They could have had the V-Stage, left the organ module off the keyboard, and just had a strict stage piano, okay? Not to say that they may not have some organ sounds in the board, but the actual organ engine, just leave it off. Let's recoup some of that R&D cost, and that will bring the price of the keyboard down a little bit. Let's make it just strictly a stage piano. And then, instead of V-Stage that has a piano and an organ inside of it, what if Roland came out with a dual manual O-Stage? They could call it O-Stage for organ. And like a dual manual organ with the drawbars just like Nord has, I think that would have really shaken stuff up. And then the organ, the O-Stage, would have been dedicated to organ sounds, organ playing, and people that gig and need a portable, great sounding organ. I think that would have shaken things up quite a bit. And I don't know, like I said, that's super far-fetched maybe, but I think it's kind of fun to consider and think about. So anyway, what's your opinion? Who do you think would benefit from having the V-Stage? And what kind of musicians do you think would not benefit at all? If you have a V-Stage and you're seeing this video, what made you buy your V-Stage? What about it did you like a lot? And if you don't own a V-Stage and you've decided that you're not getting it, what pushed you to that decision?